to talk to one of the best in the business and proud to call him a friend also. He is Craig Mish. He does an excellent job of covering Major League Baseball and the Miami Marlins. Follow him on Twitter at Craig Mish. How you doing, my friend? You hanging in there?
I'm doing well, Orlando. Good to see you, man. What's going on?
Good to see you, my brother. Did the Mets walk under a ladder all of a sudden? Because you got Lindor getting his hand caught in the door. You got Scherzer getting bit by his dog, which, by the way, she was hurting and he was trying to console her. And she kind of, if you've had dogs, you know. And so, but damn, dude, those are some funky stories coming out of the Mets.
Yeah, I think Starling Marte got hurt yesterday too. But
Yeah.
look, this is nothing new for the Mets. They've had a lot of injuries through the years, and yeah, I mean, I guess the peculiar ones are piling up here a little bit. Remember a few years ago, Noah Syndergaard had the hand, foot, and mouth thing, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, they've had some strange injuries to say the least, Big O. There's no doubt. But look, their record is great. They can afford some losses. Not that any team can afford them, but
no, but
they're I think so far up in the division already that they can sort of withstand this, I guess, for the time being.
Oh yeah, there's no doubt. They're coasting in this division. And by the way, Steve Cohen, the owner, I love his line. Was it last week? Where he go, well, maybe I'll go to 299, maybe I'll go 300.1 or whatever, just for fun. This and that, because everybody's talking about will he push the payroll to 300 million? That's when you know you have the right owner, and it's funny, because that's kind of what we strive for in all of our sports. Down here in Miami, we're kind of lucky because Mickey will spend, Ross will spend, Viola and Sifu have really proven that they will spend whatever it takes. And once you get that owner that is using the team as a toy, and we're not talking Daniel Snyder fantasy football type toy that you literally are taking over the reins. No. I'm saying that it's a fun toy for them. That's when you know you've got the right owner, right? I mean, that's the one thing that the Mets fans have to feel like they've got an owner that's not going to sit back regretting and, kicking everybody sideways because he spent too much money here or there, or complaining about money. Those are the guys you want, or those are the families, or those are the individuals you want owning your teams.
Yeah, I mean, it sort of remains to be seen, and I guess, look, you could look at it a lot of different ways. Like, everybody loves Mark Cuban, and he's brought a championship, of course, to Dallas. It's been a while since they've been relevant. That's the truth. Now, maybe with Luka and some other pieces, that he's going to go out of his way to get that done. I mean, you can't really be critical of the Phillies in terms of their spending, Orlando. I mean, they've gone out there and spent a ton of money and tried to win. The Angels are, maybe not doing it the right way, and they've lost 13 games in a row, and they fired their manager. But they continually every offseason are trying, and they're spending. So I think Cohen's getting a lot of good pub because the team is playing very well, and that's definitely part of it, but that's sort of playing the result. So, it remains to be seen. And look, by the way, Orlando, if the Mets make the playoffs and get swept in the first round, people are going to be mad at the Mets again, So let's just kind of see.
Well, they'll be mad at the Mets, but at least the owner is doing his part, is all I'm saying. Is it's cool to have an owner like that is willing to go all out. So that's to me, that's cool. By the way, on the right, okay. Because he doesn't have a long track record, so I get what you're saying. 4 years from now, right. 4 years from now, 5 years from now, he may be a different individual after. I got you. You might be right on that one. The firings this week: Girardi and Joe Maddon. Did Joe Maddon all of a sudden? I know it's a 12-game losing streak, but is he not the smartest guy anymore in the room? Talk to us about these firings.
Yeah, I mean, the Girardi one, I think, is just like making a change for the sake of change. Remember, Girardi was not hired by Dave Dombrowski. He was hired previously by Matt Klentak. And look, Girardi's been a proven winner wherever he's gone, but it just seems like the team construction going into the season wasn't the best. Also, in addition to that, look, I mean, Joe is a really good manager. And has a lot of demands. Like he had a lot of demands when he was with the Marlins, and he had a lot of demands when he was with the Yankees. And sometimes that doesn't always work. I don't know if things will get completely turned around, but the Phillies seem to be playing better, at least with this initial change, and they definitely have a lot of talent there too. So we will see. With the Angels, it definitely caught me by surprise because I don't know that necessarily. I mean, this. I mean, I know they've lost a million in a row, but they were
Yeah.
having one of their better seasons than they've had in a while. And who's to say that the Angels couldn't win 4 or 5 in a row at some point? So, um, a spark of some kind, maybe trying to stop a losing streak, Orlando. Maybe that's the case too. But I was surprised. I did not see Madden being fired. I don't know what his next step will be. You would assume that if he wanted to continue to manage, that some team would probably hire him in a heartbeat next year. But he is pushing 70, and I'm just not sure where he wants to be at this stage. Remember, he's been at this for a long time.
No, I know he's been at it for a long time, but it's just like you figure he's one of the better ones, and it's just like I know it's a rough patch, but wow, give up on the guy. Two things. What I'm going to ask you a serious question and then a fun question.
Mm-hmm.
One, are no hitters of less value nowadays compared to 15, 20, 30, 40 years ago because we saw how we're getting more. Are hitters are hitters less hitters nowadays? Are they not as good because it's home run or nothing nowadays? How do you look at no hitters? Because it's so screwed up. Dude, 20 years ago, we would cut into programming because somebody had a no hitter going
Right.
on. Remember that?
Yeah.
And
No,
now,
I still no, but you know what? It depends on the programming. Like I still think that's going on MLB Network. I still think that they're
just
cutting
on
on there.
MLB, but it's not going on ESPN where it would have gone on ESPN normally, is what I'm
Yeah,
saying.
well, I'm not
Do
sure
we
about that.
value them the same way? Because it seems like they happen more often now. And the perception is because hitters aren't nearly as good as they used to be because they're more about the power than anything else because that's what the numbers and the stats and
Mhm.
all that stuff indicates. So how do you look at it? Because as a purist, you're a guy that has gotten to see baseball change over
Right.
the last 25 years.
Yeah, I still think the individual no hitter is a big deal. I do. I think the combined no hitter is probably not something that I value nearly as much. And I would say that the perfect game is still something that's almost impossible to do. We just don't see many of those. Do we see even one of those every year or 2 years? Not so much.
Normally,
So,
no.
it's devalued in the sense, as you mentioned. I think that is accurate. That people, a 4 home run game would certainly, or a 3 home run game gets a lot more notoriety because it's more exciting. But I
Right.
still feel like people gravitate to a no hitter when it's the same pitcher going to 9 innings, but it's been watered down so much because of all the combined no hitters. I think maybe that has something to do with it.
All right. When you watch any game with Joey Gallo, are you constantly thinking my cousin Vinny? I'm just wondering because every time I hear that, no, Joey Gallo's dead, bro. It's Joey Gallo. What's wrong with you?
Right.
Yeah, that's all I keep thinking. I'm just wondering if the same twisted thing goes through your mind when you see Joey Gallo there with the Yankees.
When I think of players with the Yankees, I think I get to see their face for the first time since they've been playing Major League Baseball. It's like, all these guys, they get to New York and they end up shaving and they end up cutting their hair. It's like, oh, that's really what that player looks like.
Right.
So, um, I can't say that that's come to mind every time, but I definitely get where you're going with that.
All right, can I petition the league for the Marlins to play the Nationals every
Hmm.
night? Because I think we wasted a team meeting. Could they hold off the team meeting till after the National Series? You didn't need a team meeting before the National Series. What's wrong with these guys? Come
Yeah.
on.
Very, very complicated situation going on with the Marlins right now. Yeah, so they had a 90-minute team meeting yesterday. I have a lot
Mhm.
more on this coming, but got to do the work on it
Swings and
first.
misses. Swings and misses. Tom.
I think the Herald, we're going to have it in the
Okay,
Herald.
you're gonna put in the Herald. Okay. All
Yeah,
right.
yeah. But again, you got to make sure you cross the I's and cross
I
the T's
respect
and
it.
dot the I's on this, like a story like this. Um, so they have some issues. They have some issues. They have some real issues in their clubhouse for sure. Some disagreements. Is this like every other clubhouse in baseball? Maybe the case. It could be. I don't really get that sense. I get the sense that there seems to be a little bit of a divide at this point. I don't know if that gets worked out or not. I'm not really sure. When it comes to baseball, I feel like I have pretty good intuition because I've been at this for so long. And my guess is that based on the team that they've constructed, they can be a lot better. There's no question. I think they've constructed in terms of free agency a better team. but the results have not shown that at this point. And I personally don't think like this whole thing that happened yesterday is going to help. Like I don't know. I am not getting that feeling.
You're
You
getting a feeling
mentioned
that the divide create the meeting created a bigger divide, is what you think
it may
is
have. It may
okay.
have. I'm not sure. I mean, we're gonna. I can't go off just. I mean, this isn't even 24 hours old, so we don't. I don't know. I'm not sure, but the players and the staff or
Can you
whoever was in
can you
there, like,
enlighten us a little bit on what the divide is? Is
yeah,
it with the
there
manager?
there seems to be a disconnect between I don't know about groups. I don't know how specific yet. Again, I'm working on this, but there seems to be a disconnect between how to operate within a clubhouse, how to operate on a team, how to be a professional in Major League Baseball. There seems to be a disconnect there. I'm not sure yet that that's the entire focus of this, but that at least is one part of what's going on with them. And again,
Is there
there's
enough
all
leadership in that locker room? Because when
it
I
doesn't
look at
look like it.
when I look like a I look at a Rojas, yeah, you're an older player, but you're not really a star. So you would want a couple of stars that are proven to kind of bring people together and show some leadership and guide some of these young guys. But because there's a lot of inexperience, there's a lot of guys that are unproven. There's like Soler, it just got there. What's he gonna do? Just grab hold and take hold of the locker room? He just got there.
It's very
So,
hard. Yeah.
yeah, that's very hard. Exactly. So how do you find that? How do they get the guidance they need is what I'm trying to ask
Yeah,
you.
I mean, look, I don't think that on June 8th in a major league season, all of a sudden that happens. It sort of like evolves. Sandy Alcantara, who, is got that contract extension in the offseason. Maybe there's a direction that he will end up going in terms of leadership in the future. I don't know the answer to that. Miguel Rojas clearly has been their team leader over the last few years. What the future holds, I'm not really sure. I mean, look. In the end, team meetings do happen all the time. I will acknowledge that.
And they
But
usually do nothing, by the way.
uh,
Nothing.
sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. Notwithstanding last night's game, I don't think that personally don't think that had anything to do with the team meeting yesterday.
No, it's the
But
Nationals. It's the
I mean, the
Nationals.
Nationals, the pitcher they faced was 1-9 with a 7 ERA. Like, I mean, that's what you're supposed to do against that team.
And we got Alcantara tonight against them.
Yeah, they're
Should win
probably
it.
they'll sweep them or they'll come close. They're 6-1 now against the Nationals, and you can do the math with their record against everybody else. That's pretty much been the story.
That's
I will
why I
be very
say
curious to see the future as to how this sort of transpires. I
mhm.
personally have felt they've had a really good clubhouse over the last few years, even though they've lost a lot of games outside of 2020. I really felt that way. I sort of was taken aback yesterday. I did not know that this was happening. But the other thing, Orlando, with these team meetings is usually they have them, and what happens? They come out. We got our issues resolved.
Aired it out,
Everything
yeah.
is good, and that did not happen yesterday. It was like we'll see. Hopefully everything is okay, but I'm not sure. The manager Don Mattingly
Is this a
yesterday.
personal issue or something? What the hell's going on, dude? It's like this is baseball. I mean, what's the old Knicks back in the 70s, 12 guys, 12 cabs, and they won 2 titles.
Yeah, again, the meetings usually are short, they're quick, and everyone comes out and says, we're a family, we're a team, and we're going to rally. And that just didn't happen yesterday. So it was an odd meeting, Don Mattingly, who I respect a ton, came out yesterday and said that he wouldn't be surprised if the team was flat to start the game. And that was shocking to hear that because all of a sudden it's like, wait a second here, like what in the world was going on there? So look, I'm working on this to do the best that I possibly can. Remember, these are private meetings. And there's some I guess sacredness to having those.
Yeah,
But
and you got to respect some of that too at the same time because
yeah,
then you're not going to get the same kind of information
right.
down the
Yeah,
line too.
that's the tough dynamic of this. It's like
I know.
how far can I go with it, And so look, there's journalism involved here. I feel like there's a story to tell. And the other thing that I go back to, and I don't, and maybe you could correct me if I'm wrong, but the way that I sort of feel about this one is I had to like take a step back and say, Orlando, doesn't this happen everywhere? Like, don't we always hear what happens in these meetings anyway, in the
Yeah,
end, all around the NFL, the NBA, Major League Baseball? So
yeah.
what's different about this than anything else? That's kind of what I went back to.
Yeah, and why so kind of secretive about it? I mean, look at the Heat. The Heat had a dust up right in front of the entire world,
That's
right on the
right.
sideline, and then but again, if you're mature, you got a bunch of older players and leaders, you can move on. And you don't really have that kind of environment in that clubhouse. There's a lot of youth and inexperience, and maybe they don't know how to carry themselves the right way. I'm just intrigued by what could be the issues that are dividing such a young team. You know what I mean? And it's just kind of odd. And is it a baseball thing or is it a personal thing? Can you
It seems more non. What do you mean by baseball thing? Like what? Like I don't know what you mean by that.
philosophically something's going on and that's people are
I don't think it
playing the
has to
way
do
they play?
anything with the on the field play. No.
Okay, so then that's what I'm saying. Then so then there are dynamics, something going on with relationships or something back behind the scenes is what you were
Yeah,
saying.
I mean, look, I talked to yesterday was really tough because basically, Don Mattingly spoke Orlando, and then that was it. And
Right.
normally in these situations, you've covered sports for a million years. It's like usually doesn't a player come out immediately and say, "All right, now here's the deal.
Process it.
We
Yeah.
knocked it out, and guys, by the way, we're not talking about it anymore." Usually, that's kind of the way that. So I expected that, and instead, it was no one's available until post game, and I'm like, excuse me, like that's not acceptable.
Yeah.
So I asked, I tried, I was unsuccessful, and then on my own, well, not on my own, the Marlins helped me. I can't do it without their help, honestly. But fortunately, Sandy Alcantara came walking off the field, and then I talked to him about it, and he said, hey, like you're basically you're not always going to get along with your teammates. Like not everybody in the clubhouse are going to be friends, essentially, is what he said. And then I asked him if he had seen anything like this before, and he said that there was something when he was in the minor leagues with the Cardinals. There was somewhat of a similar issue, something along those lines. So
Is it an
um,
ingredient that was added this year?
to the team, you mean this year? No, not that I can see.
Okay. All right. Because and by the way, the follow up question I was going to ask that guy you just spoke to, Sandy,
Yeah,
I would figure is the only guy that can stand up in the middle of that clubhouse and say, "What the f?"
I
And
agree.
this is what you need to do. This is what we need to do because he's the best player on the team. He's the guy that carries that team every 5 days. He's the guy you want to watch every damn 5 days because he's so awesome. And but here's the follow up to the follow up. Does he have a Bam like personality, or does he have a Jimmy like personality, or does he have a Bosch like personality? What kind of a leader is he?
Um, well, he's young. He's still very young,
But is he
and
cerebral like Bosch? Is he emotional like Butler? Or is he not a leader like Bam?
oh no, I think he can be a leader, but I think it's something that he's going to have to learn in time. Just because he was given this contract extension doesn't take away from the fact that he's not even 30 years old. So it's kind of hard for him to just change who he is, being a young kid coming up. Remember, this is someone 5 years ago that spoke very little English, Orlando.
That's
So
true. That's a
um,
great point. Forgot
I,
about that.
I look.
It's a great point.
I have a ton of respect for a lot of the players and the staff because, honestly, like, why do I deserve to, get the information that I get? I mean, basically, I think that they respect me because I do, a fair
You do a
job
great job.
covering them.
You do a great job.
But I would say Sandy in particular, I've known for a long time, because this goes back to when he was with the Cardinals. Remember, they train on the other side of the Marlins facility.
Sure.
So, back they used to let us, roam back and forth, and I got to know Sandy then when he was with the Cardinals. So, fortunately,
Is he wired that way? Is he wired like the guy that can take over a locker room?
I think in due time, I don't want to say for sure, but I think in due time he ends up being the guy there. I do.
Okay. Yeah, because no comparison, zero comparison. But in 97, yes, I'm old. Stop it already. Dutch comes into that locker room,
Right.
and now it's Dutch Dalton. Okay. So
Right.
we're talking about a completely different individual. But still, he walked into a loaded veteran locker room And within 2 weeks, he had a complete stranglehold on the locker room. And everybody came to Dutch. You know what I mean? So it was one of those things that he was kind of, mouthpiece. Because, like, while Conine was there and all that, he doesn't have the resume of Dutch. And then also being the catcher and all that other stuff. And so it was one of those things. Now, I can't expect Sandy to be Dutch because he doesn't have Dutch's resume, Dutch's experience, Dutch's, length of time in the damn league. So it's different when Dutch walks into a new locker room. He can assimilate and take over a little faster than him. But that's why I'm asking, does Sandy have it in him? Because it sounds like, dude, some kind of leadership. Besides developing talent, you're going to also have to develop leaders in that locker room.
Yeah, and that's going to be part of this. They have, as you mentioned, a fairly young team, and at the catcher position, I think Stallings could be that guy, but he just got there this year. You mentioned Soler, Avisel Garcia's on a big contract, just got there this year. Their center fielder is very young. Jesus Aguilar certainly is one of those players, I suppose, that you could point to, but he's a free agent at the end of the season. It remains to be seen. I think what's going to be there. Garrett Cooper, it's like a Jazz going around the diamond. It's not an optimal situation, but it's my job as a reporter and as somebody who's followed this to sniff out something, like Jim Mandich would say, if it doesn't smell right, and it just didn't smell right yesterday, man. Like it something seemed off, and I'm. Some would say, "Oh, you're trying to make something out of nothing." I genuinely don't feel that way.
No,
and by the way,
does anybody know you? Does that guy know you? Because that's not you, by the way. So
if somebody told me, "Hey, this is much ado about nothing," then it would be nothing.
Right. I'm with you there. One more thing before I let you go. Question for Mish: while the pitch clock appears pragmatic, how might it negatively impact the game and the players?
I'm glad that somebody asked this question because we were talking about this yesterday. I personally think there is absolutely no negative to this whatsoever. I think that the pitch clock is going to change the game of baseball in a very positive way. I think we will no longer have to sit through games that are 3.5 hours. The minor leagues are showing cuts of 15 to 20 minutes per game on every single game. And while if you're looking for a negative, sure, it's going to be hard for some of the veterans who have been in the big leagues to adhere to this. Right. But in the end, they will learn how to do it. I personally now
they will learn the rhythm from the minors, and then they'll be in the rhythm by the time they get to the majors. But we will have to deal with the old farts that have already been in it and set in their ways. And whether it's if we had Noma or Terry Pendleton, these people don't know what 8 hours is at the plate until they've met Noma or Terry Pendleton. Because Terry Pendleton adjusted every pad on his body. Okay, I've never seen that ever in my life. You want to take forever in a game? Put 9 Terry Pendletons at bat, and you'll never finish a damn game.
I remember that, but I think this is going to be great. I really do. Listen, I can't watch an extra inning game now without a runner on second. I want to go home. I want the game to end. I think it's. Look, say what you want.
For you to say that, bro. For you to say that, wow.
No, I love it. I think it's great. I know immediately we got drama in the 10th inning. It's great.
I got you. All right, follow him on Twitter. Great follow as always. Great insight at Craig Mish. Check out the podcast, Swings and Mishes. It's all about the Marlins. And, of course, you can catch them MLB, Breaking Stories, Miami Herald. What else? Who else are you working for? Oh, Sports Grid, right?
Sports Grid. That's the primary.
That's the primary, right? He's half Jamaican. He's got 8 jobs.
The lemonade stands outside, 10 cents.
There you go. Mishmeister, I love you, brother. We will catch up next week, my friend. Appreciate
you're the best. Thanks for having me.
You got it. You have now stepped in to the batter's box.
This is the Big O Show. This is the